Are you overthinking things too much when you're playing tennis, and that's why you're not improving? This is something that you hear from a lot of coaches, and I don't think that this is them lying or trying to mislead you. I think it's just that there's a couple of things that they don't necessarily fully understand. So I'm going to explain why that is in this video and why thinking too much probably isn't the issue for most players. Hopefully you find the video helpful. If you do, it'd be great if you give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel before, much appreciated if you could do that as well. So when I make a video like this, I'm obviously making generalizations. It doesn't apply to every tennis player, because for really high level tennis players, elite tennis players, then it's absolutely possible to think too much and to get in your own way. But the vast majority of players watching YouTube videos to learn how to improve their tennis online, they're not elite level tennis players. So what I'm going to explain right now is very applicable probably to you. So when coaches are working with players, teaching them specific techniques, and the player fails to be able to use that technique, a common thing for coaches to say is, oh yeah, you're overthinking it, you're thinking about it too much. And I think, again, they're not misleading people intentionally. There's just a couple of things that they don't understand. The first one is that tennis is really hard for a lot of people to learn and improve at, because it requires a high degree of skill. Most tennis coaches grew up playing tennis, so they maybe had tennis lessons when they were younger. They've had thousands or hundreds of thousands of balls coming towards them. They've gone through the movements thousands and thousands of times. So even if they're not an amazing elite level player, they've still had a lot of repetitions, and they've still built up a degree of skill. And because they've done this stuff their whole life, it does come fairly naturally to them. They can't necessarily understand what it feels like for you to be trying to do it, and you haven't done it thousands of times growing up. And that's why you're finding it hard. So there's that side of it. And then there's also really understanding the phases of learning, how we actually learn something. Because for Djokovic, for Alcaraz, for elite level players, they've done stuff millions of times. They have got movement patterns stored within a different part of the brain that they can just use at will. So yes, they don't want to interfere with that. They want to allow themselves to get into the flow state and just be, living in the present, focusing on the point. But that's them. When you're learning a skill, you have to go through different phases of learning. So at the start, you're in the conscious phase. So I'm learning how to hit a forehand, I'm learning how to hit a backhand. At the start, I don't understand how to use the technique, I haven't done it before. So I have to really think about it. I have to think, oh, I need to do my unit turn like this, I need to set up the right distance from the ball, I need to start my swing, I need to do that, I need to do all these different things. So you have to expend a lot of energy thinking about it. Once you've done that 1,000 or so times, you move into the next stage of learning, which is the associative stage. And you can be in the associative stage for quite a long time, but this is where you've done it a little bit, you kind of know what you're doing, but now you just need to practice it in different scenarios and different situations. But when you're in the associative stage, it still takes a lot of focus and a lot of concentration. So if you're learning to work on improving your spacing, and I use this as an example so often because most players don't have good spacing, if you're working on that, you need to think about it, because every ball's different. So the ball's coming towards you, and you've got to think about setting up the right distance for the ball. Next one, okay, maybe I need to move back and again set up the right distance for the ball. So I have to think about that constantly, because every ball is different, until I have done a massive amount of reps. So 10,000 repetitions minimum, but it's probably a bit more, and then things can start to get stored as a habit, and then you don't have to think about it anymore. So once you have habituated stuff, you developed new habits, now, yes, you don't have to think about it, and it's still going to happen because it's a habit. But through those first two phases of learning, you do need to think about it if you want to change and you want to improve your technique. Okay, so now you understand that it isn't a bad thing to think when you're trying to improve your tennis. In fact, it's a requirement. But the problem is you might not be thinking about the right thing. In order to improve with your practice, you have to focus on the right thing within your practice. And a lot of players, unfortunately, don't do that. They're focusing on something often more advanced that isn't really applicable when they've got foundational problems that they need to address. So that's going to be something that's kind of crucial to your development. The other thing that's worth pointing out is that there is a skill component to it. Ultimately, the level of tennis that you'll be able to play is going to be dictated by your level of eye to hand and eye to foot coordination. If you grow up playing a sport like basketball or soccer or something like that, you'll already have reasonable eye-to-hand and eye-to-foot coordination, so you'll probably be able to get pretty good at tennis, like 4-5 sort of level, if you really work at it hard. But if you didn't grow up playing one of those sports, you just won't have developed the same level of eye-to-hand and eye-to-foot coordination, because that's not how it works. Everything is specific. So if that's the case, it's really going to limit the level that you'll be able to play at. For that sort of player, it's very, very hard to get past the 3.5 and really, really, really hard to get past the 4.0 level. The good news is, though, that you can actually change that using brain-based training. You can improve your skill, so you can train your vision, train your coordination. By doing that, it increases your skill level and makes it possible for you to play at a higher level. And if you'd like to learn how to do that and how to kind of break down and analyze your strokes more, I've got a free live workshop event coming up soon. The link will be down in the description, so if you click on that link, it'll take you over to a page and it'll explain more about this free live event. Okay, hopefully this video has been helpful for you. If it has, give me a thumbs up. Any questions about what I've covered here, please leave them down below, and I'll catch you next time.